Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the In Touch podcast, where mental health advocates come together to discuss different mental health topics. My name is Anica, and I've been a part of the In Touch community since April. And one of my favorite bonding moments to do with my friends and family is watching Netflix movies or listening to music.
Nice one, Anika. Hi, I'm Joel, and I've been with In Touch since February, but I also am a parent and a teacher, and I spend a lot of time with my kids, and I'm really happy to spend time with my wife and my kids every afternoon around 5 or 6 p.m. We like to go out to the park and play around there.
Oh,
Yun lang.
that's fun, Joel. By the way, I'm Keisha, and I've like Anika. I've also been a volunteer in the InTouch community for around a month, so since last April. And for me, my favorite bonding moments with both my family and closest friends is basically having food trips. Like as long as we have food, it's one of the best bonding moments. Anything we do, like literal trips or movies, would not be complete without food. Yeah, food completes us.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, I feel the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
way, Keisha. By the way, I'm Ezev. I'm a staff here at InTouch for more than a year. And what we usually do with my family is we watch a lot of Netflix at night, mostly after a stressful day. We enjoy each other by bonding, watching shows or movies that we suggest to each other. So yeah, nice to see you guys in this early Sunday. I
Yeah.
hope you got
Good
your
morning.
coffee to wake ourselves up. Oh, it's
Yeah.
blurred. There we go. So for our
Drink.
topic this morning is mental health first aid and caring for others, right? So
Yeah.
any experiences, guys, with this topic?
With mental health first aid and caring for others. Well, let me start off because with my kids, sometimes when they're playing and especially my eldest boy when he's playing games, tapos he's not winning,
Mm.
you get so tense, so stressed. You can see it in his body, natatense siya. And you just have to like hug him for a while. It's like, it's okay. I know it's a game and you're trying to win, pero it's okay.
I feel the same way, Joel. I like that you do that to your son because, at least in my perspective, I play some video games, and my mom usually
Yeah.
doesn't. My mom doesn't. She sees me play my video games, but she doesn't get how I like why I'm so intense with my playing. But she just she gives me my space, and I super appreciate that with her, and I that's actually kind of her way of caring na din because I know I de-stress with games, so she knows that as well. So it's nice how you also have that with your son. So yeah.
Yeah, like you both, I don't really play, but in as a perspective of a daughter, I really appreciate when I feel stressed, like not about games, siguro about my academics or about friends or any other dilemmas under the world. When my mom or even my dad would just talk to me because I enjoy quality time. So if I feel something heavy, I just want to rant. It's for my first action is to stay quiet, but my next move is to rant, and I enjoy it. It really lifts the heaviness in me if my parents or also my friends just listens to me, and you appreciate the time they spend to you. So um I really appreciate how when you see the tenseness in your son Joel, that you just hug him, and it means a lot to kids parents doing that. Yeah, it's one of the figure the first self first step in caring for others.
Yeah. Actually, I can feel the same way or with my friends, regardless of age, right? That if we're going to with something, we just need someone to be there. We need
Yeah,
someone who
that's true.
can relate or understand, even though we don't know what to say or what to do. But just the fact that you want to help, you're willing to listen, it makes the difference.
Yeah.
Especially when what's they're going. with what they're going through.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Ezev. I remember, and I'm so fond of this memory, because I used to, I mean, pre-COVID era, in back in college, I used to have, I was part of an organization in my college, and we have this like common area, common space where all of the org members can go to and just chill there
Tambayan.
together. Yeah, tambayan, yeah. And usually I'd be there and just just chilling, eating if ever. And then usually, yeah, my friends would just approach me and they just say, hey, do you have time to talk? And usually it starts off with just one person, and then other people come, so it's just like talking to each one, like issue after issue, and it's fun, and it's like it's just bonding and ranting together, and it's just a safe space for all of us to just validate each other's feelings. And I think that's what everyone needs whenever they're all tense and just needs to let out feelings. And it's really good that each of us have that trust within each other. So yeah, super fond of that memory. Yeah.
I relate to you, no, since I also miss pre-COVID college times when you could see your friends physically, you could eat lunch together, especially after difficult exams or complicated assignments, and then you go to lunch and talk about it, and just being able to rant even if you got a low score or you didn't understand a thing. Just the fact that you rant about it with other people who relates to you is a big relief. And then also studying together and just basically just talking is makes everything easier. I also have this experience, actually not just one experience, but as a with my friend group in high school. Like they're still my friends until now. I'm basically what they call the mom in the group,
Yeah.
even if I'm not the oldest or something. The mom in the group where everything, any issue they have, especially high school teenagers,
High
those
school
dramas.
drama. Yeah.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Yeah,
I'm also
exactly.
that. I'm also that in our group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they have any issues, they would just talk to me, tell me. But in the past, I didn't really know much about caring for others, and my automatic response would be to have a response. Just like give advice or actually give solution. I'm more of a thinking about solutions kasi. So maybe that's why I grew up na if you have a problem, I'll try my best to find a solution. But when I started college, I realized not every problems need a solution. Sometimes you just have to talk about it. You just have to let it.
That's a good point. That's a good learning experience. I agree with you on that, Keisha. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good group you have there with your friends, right? That some you can identify someone who you can rely on, and at the same time, like you give and take, right? Sometimes you're the mom, but sometimes you need someone there for you as well. Really good.
I've been thinking, kayo ha, you've been talking about your tambayans in your college and your high school. For me, that's like 20 plus years ago.
Oh no.
I'm the tito here. No, but I just want to share na whatever age you are, it really starts with you gotta be if you recognize that someone needs you, diba? Parang that's the first step eh. Because many times if you're like super busy at work or school and then someone approaches you, parang if you're not ready to listen, parang like there's this invisible wall around you eh.
Yeah.
And then parang they don't want they know I busy si Joel or busy si Anica, I won't talk to them. But if you're open to other people, you recognize that they need something, diba? Parang, uy, that's I think Keisha, they went to you eh. Parang whether it wasn't that they wanted the solution, it was because they saw na Keisha's going to listen to me. I think that was it talaga, Keisha.
Yeah, I guess so. And siguro basically, even before I knew about listening or in a conversation, listening non-judgmentally, I've been practicing it ever since I don't know, I don't really enjoy or I don't really like judging the problems of other people, even before I knew about that concept, like when I was young. It doesn't sound right. Like, that just gut feel that when someone tells you something, they trusted you with that. They knew that they could trust you with that. So being able to just listen is one of the best things I could give to anybody I come across. Not even my close friends, talaga. Like even just I don't know people I met for the first time. A lot of people told me that it's so easy to talk to me. Na uh, I don't know about that because my old friends would tell me that I have this like face na ano daw if I'm not talking na I don't want to say the word but
Oh,
it's you know what I mean
the
you know,
RBF. I think the
yes
RBF. Yeah.
yeah, that one RBF, that not approachable at all, but I think I still have this vibe that they could talk to me, and when I start talking I automatically smile. No, sometimes no matter what the topic and sometimes it's not appropriate to smile, but I don't know, I really enjoy talking so much, and years later also listen. So yeah.
From what I see there, right? Of course, we have those times and those days that we're going through something, or we can see our friend having their own problems, right? But what Joel said, that they have this barrier, right? But I saw that if we reach out to people, if we ask them, like you, Keisha, you said you're having this face, this very neutral face, right? That they can feel. But
Neutral.
once they reached out, they asked how you're feeling. You mentioned that you're able to open up, or you began to share it, right? So how did it go?
uh I think it's more of uh me being so open in the first place. I have this concept kasi before na if I'm open, the person talking to me will be
Yes.
as open as well. I don't know, sometimes I think of it as kind of manipulative. But then I realize it's more of a human nature that they mirror.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mirror what
Nice
you
one.
feel. Like if you share as much, I mean not naman everything, but if you parang ano, you're loose na to share and you
Yes.
relax and you trust that
Yes.
person also by sharing, they would share more about themselves, and by that they could also release tension or what they
Yeah.
feel. They would feel relaxed, or I don't know, just feel better even just for that day.
Yeah. I think that's a great word you said, Keisha, yung mirroring. Because when they see that you're receptive, and then especially if you in the past you've been able to share with them or you've been open to them, parang that reminds them that yeah, I can also open up to Keisha, I can open up to Anica. Parang we have that level of I don't know what maybe trust because it's a safe space. Na I've talked to her before, she's talked to me before. Parang we can talk about this and di naman lalabas, and then sometimes I just need to let it out. And like you said, parang walang judgment. Sige, just talk. Makikinig ako.
I think I experienced something like that. What you said, Keisha, about like mirroring and how like your body language should like emit openness to the person you're talking to. And I remember, I think one of the first conversations, as soon as I vibed with one of my closest friends, we kind of like leveled. We have like the same kind of level of energy or the level of vibe. So like anytime like we're having fun, it's the same kind of energy. That's why we get along so well. And then when the conversation is kind of like turning serious, we both kind of know instinctively like, okay, this person needs my full attention, my no judgment, just a person to listen to. And it's just I guess it's like empathy, just have a good level of empathy so that you're communicating with your friend or your family member, and they understand and they feel safe to trust you with what you want to say, what you want to confide in. And I think that thing uh, should be known more to people, because
Yeah.
I think we need a lot more empathy in the world. Yeah.
I could actually remember this one experience na we were taught kasi in our course active listening in psychology and also empathy to other people. But I remember one time that a teacher told us na it's so sad that listening active listening is taught. I mean, not really taught, but like people train for it to do that.
Yeah.
Na it's so sad na if most people, if all people actually practices active listening, I don't know. I think the world would be a lot better, or people would try to learn to listen more than talk. Like listen to just listen, not listen to respond. That's the
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like you listen to understand that what's that person's going through, feel what they're feeling, and you know, just be there if they need someone. Well, for me, um, when I open up, I usually don't open up um first, or do I don't usually reach out to people, but when they do, it shows that they're interested.
Yeah.
It shows that they notice me, they see that there's something going on and they want to help me out. So that really helps me as a person, that you know, just by asking, hey, how are you doing, hey, what's going on, like, then, hey, I heard about this, or that I saw your post. So just by reaching out to people, just asking those like very questions, it starts a conversation,
Yeah.
that and which can follow with empathy, with mirroring, with active listening,
Yeah.
taking the first step.
Yeah. I like that as the first step talaga is noticing that someone might, or paying attention and noticing that someone might be tense or stressed, or just not him or herself that day, and then reaching out. Because it's so easy not to. Parang, parang it's easy to say na it's not my business, or mention dinadaanan eh. Okay naman siya. I remember kasi at work, we had this Zoom meeting, and then there was, at the end, parang I noticed that there's this one guy who's really, at least at the start of the pandemic, was really not himself talaga. So, wala lang. I mean, I don't work with him that closely. I'm not that close to him. Pero I just sent him an email, something like, "Hey Kev, I noticed you didn't seem 100% kanina. You okay? Is this like a good time to talk? You want to share?" If, I mean, parang because I put out a hand, he then took it. He actually sent me an email back, and then we had a conversation later on. So I think Zev, that's right. You got to start with noticing, and then reaching out, and then tama ka, after that, the rest of the process of just listening or mirroring or showing empathy, it'll come.
I think that's a really really good gesture that you did, Joel, and I like actually also what Azab said. I like what, yeah, noticing is the first step, and then reaching out is next. And I see that also with my friends, and I have some friends who check in with me every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. Like they
That's
remember,
nice.
like after a big talk that we've done, a heart to heart session, like a week after, they'll be like, "Hello, reminder," or like message ng bigla, "Hi, how are you doing? How are you feeling today?" It's just connect, keep making sure that you're still connected with each other, because I remember in a TED talk that I had to watch for school, um, that
Go school.
loneliness is, yeah. I'm so sorry for bringing up school talk. Don't worry. I do have some questions for you, Joel, about family. Yeah. Pero ayun, just to finish about loneliness nga. In that TED talk, I remember talaga that loneliness is so easy to fall into, and it can really consume someone. And after hearing that, I just remember that I need to stay connected, even if I'm scared to reach out, even if I think that I'm bothering them. I just hope that my friends understand and reply to me like, hey, do you have time to talk? Can I have a few minutes of your time? And but if they are busy, I understand, and I value naman their boundaries. So after that, I don't know what to do, but it's okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, keeping healthy relationship, it's taking care of our mental health, right? So, for you, you see the need to connect to people, to reach out, to say hi, avoid those feelings like loneliness, right? So we can either reach out, or if at the same way, then we could let other reach out to us. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
If we want to
Yeah,
reach,
that's
if we hope
nice.
other people to be open up, we should be also ready to open up with,
Yeah.
if they're willing.
Yeah, if they're willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with Ezev. Yung maintaining healthy relationships is maintaining also your own healthy mental health. Since there's this line that you can't pour from an empty cup. Like
Mm.
well, if you're not able to care for yourself, it's quite difficult to actually care for others. And that's why I'm more of an introvert kasi. So even though I don't know, I've been sharing about family and friends. Sometimes people I met online, like starting this pandemic, since everything's online, most of them would tell me that I seem like an extrovert now in talking. It's just that I always tell them, you haven't met me in person. And in person, I actually enjoy just reading by myself, or I don't know, on my phone, still reading or watching, I don't know, series. But when I start to talk kasi, or when people start to converse with me, I don't know, it sometimes never stops. And you also said, Dev, na we should also be open to reaching out. And I'm not that person a type to really ask how are you. I think it's kind of the dynamic of my friendships. It's more of they know that they can reach out to me if
They reach out to you.
anything. Yeah, they reach out to me
Yeah.
if they need anything. And kasi ako yung type na mag-reach out if ako naman yung may kailangan. So it's more of I know it's a different dynamic. It's a different
Yeah.
way of
Iba talaga
reaching
yung tao.
out. Yeah, and then also it's a different kind of bond. I have this one friend that we don't really like how are you, or kamusta ka na. There are just random times she would say, hi, I love you. Just random things like that. Na I don't know, sometimes if like timing na you're in a bad
Mm.
situation or bad time, and you read that, I know it lifts everything up. And also doing that to other people, like to your friends or to your family, I know it helps. And I heard Anica said na she wants to ask Joel about family. Maybe I can like intro a little, like this is a different perspective naman, since I have this little cousin, not really little, she's 8. And there was this one time she was throwing a tantrum because she was mad at our tita na parang pinagalitan siya. And then she was crying. She went inside my room. She was crying. And I don't know what came through me, because most of the time I'm busy kasi in ACADS. And that time I was actually writing a paper. But I saw her crying. I asked her, why are you crying? What happened? And then, I don't know, she just ranted. This is what happened. I feel like, and I asked her, how do you feel? Why do you think you feel like that, or something? I know it's. I think it's the first time that I talk to her that way. Because sometimes I also reprimand her just the way our healers do. But that time, I don't know. I talked to her, really talked to her, and she was just ranting. She was saying everything. And what surprised me was like towards the end when she asked na how could she do better. Like, because palagi siyang pinapagalitan daw. So how could she do better?
That's
What should she
nice.
what should she do na 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 like maging tama, hindi na like tama, pero like parang hindi na siya palaging pagalitan, or if, how she can improve. And I was like,
That's cool. 8 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Galing
she's
niya.
actually, I mean, she's
Mature yan.
actually too bright for her age, and it goes both ways. Sometimes her intelligence that way causes us headaches because she knows how to answer, she
mm-hmm.
knows how to reason out, and sometimes in those kind of difficult times, it's easy to explain things to her because she can understand and absorb
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
it's I don't
Yeah.
know if she knows how to, if she will know growing up how to make use of that understanding and maturity. I think she'll also help other people.
Actually, I could relate with Keisha. Or actually, with not Keisha, um with her small cousin, with her younger cousin, that when people ask me or when they listen to me, well, I vent out, I open up. But when they let me vent out, when they just listen to me, when they don't give me answers or suggestion right away after venting out, it gives me time to process what's going on, process my feelings. Then when I exhaust everything, that's the time that I'm more open to ask for advice or suggestions, just like with Keisha's cousin or little cousin, that I noticed that if we let them reach out or ask, that's the time that they're open or they're willing to listen. Because sometimes I think most of us experience with our parents when we vent out, when we open things up, like what's going on with school or at work. Some family or some parents already automatically give an answer like you shouldn't
Mm,
do this, you shouldn't do that. Why did you do this?
yes.
That somehow it's make us harder to open up or close ourselves. But when we give them the space, when we give them the time to open up, just like me, it gives me first. It gives me the trust, or give me the idea that you trust me and you're willing to listen or on my
Yeah.
option. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's good. I can relate with an 8 years old, but it goes well.
No, but that's so cool, Eza, because I was thinking about it. There are times, or Keisha, your cousin, my son, he's 9, and it's just there are times talaga na, oh, I didn't realize just how mature, I mean, yung pag-iisip nila, how if you give them the time, tama, Ezef, if you just give them a little bit of time, at first they're angry, that so much emotions, so much emotion, they're so angry maybe, or if something bad happened to them, like they fell down or their toy fell, or there's something they're eating fell down, of course they feel bad, and it's such a disaster. It's like a disaster for them. It is. But if we try to solve it all the time, and speaking as a parent, if I try to solve it all the time, I'm actually not letting my son or any of my other kids get a chance to solve the problem on their own. And they need to learn that. I mean, I'm not always going to be around. I mean, I tell my kids that sometimes, I'm not going to be around all the time. So what do you want to do? What should you do? And they actually know naman. Once they settle down, parang we just have to give them time to settle down. But
You're
there, I hope
good.
you heard me. I just said,
Yeah.
just gotta
Yeah, I
settle
heard
down. Just gotta
well.
give them some
Yeah.
time.
I totally agree with you, Joel, and I really like how that's your approach to raising your children, and I hope like other future parents also teach that to their children. But I do wanted to bring up another question because I totally agree with what Keisha and Azev said about communicating and everything. I wanted to know when you do try to, when someone, a child or anyone really, approaches someone for comfort, approaches someone about their mental health, but the person is too harsh about it, like they don't want to adjust, they don't want to acknowledge that you need this space, you need this time for yourself. What can you do in that kind of situation? Like, yeah, something like that. I hope you guys understood the context.
Yeah, I think it's really about understanding. And if people can't understand each other, I think we also have to remember that when we talk about mental health first aid, parang think of it like physical first aid. Kung may sugat yung bata or kung may sugat ka, you put a band, you clean it, wash it, put a band-aid. Pero kung bali yung paa mo or something, you seek professional help. So if you know if it's not working, you gotta go. You have to go seek professional help. I think that's also important. It's part of mental health first aid. You also know that okay, this is really serious. This is a big deal.
Our our boundaries. As you mentioned that this is what we know, this is what we can do as a
Yeah.
person, as a child, as a parent, or as a working individual, a different age, right? We do our best, but we should also learn where to put a line. For example, when you mentioned that there's something that we don't know how to deal, then as Joel said, we go to the people or the professionals who can help.
What I can say about that, like Zev and Joel mentioned about, seeking professional help. But I've had experiences kasi with people like um, that that there is still a stigma around mental health. There are still people who doesn't believe mental health exists, and it's actually saddening. It's quite difficult to not be I don't change mine, but it's quite a difficult conversation. So it's actually a different conversation at all. And I think you react harshly na hindi mag-adjust or hindi acknowledge na may mental health issue, or like just emotional well-being. I think most probably the root of that is the stigma na ay
Yung
naririnig
shame.
na yung stigma na gawa-gawa mo lang yan, arasan mo lang yan, na hindi maganda pakiramdam mo, I actually can't believe that some people there are no, not really there are still some people who believe in that, who doesn't believe in mental health, and that's also why it's quite difficult for some to reach out to professional help, since some their support system doesn't believe on that, and it's quite difficult for them to know, like yung stigma pa rin, Joel said, like shame. There's still some shame around seeking for professional help around mental health. So I think what can I do is actually try to talk with the person who reacted harshly, and just as much as possible try to communicate the message about mental health, because I have mentioned before, I try to tell, I'm quite straightforward, and I'm trying to improve on that if it's too much sometimes. But I really think one effective communication is, yes, number one, listening, and also talking, saying what you're supposed to say, because there are nonverbal cues, there are facial expressions that you could depend on, but words really sometimes mean a lot more when you say it. So I think, yes, communicate.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Keisha, because I like drawing the analogy between physical first aid and mental health first aid. Because when you have a wound, you can see it. You can see the bleeding. You can see the bruising. You can see the pain. But when it's mental health, you don't notice maybe. I think it's not as noticeable that what they're going through. So something to, I think you're right. You also have to be able to speak up. I was thinking about stigma or shame. Sometimes when you're suffering, it's not just that stigma and shame. It's also that you feel like you're the only one. I was really stressed about this exam that I was going to go through, and I felt like I was the only one who was going through. That's the only one. I felt so alone, and I think that's part of it also. But if you think you're the only one, you've got to also talk about it, because that's the only way others are gonna know what you're feeling. So that's something that I think we have to keep in mind. It's not just observing what people are doing, but also we have to speak up. We have to advocate for ourselves in the same way as we advocate for our friends. You see someone who needs help, you talk to them, you ask them.
Thank you for answering my question, guys. I I totally agree with all of your perspectives actually, and it gave me a little bit more insight on those kinds of situations. And I think I wanna mention talaga that I agree with that whole stigma thing. I think it's very prominent still, and that's what, especially here in the Philippines. So I think that's really what makes it hard for people to approach other people or seek professional help or find the right comfort in find the right people who will support you or communicate your emotions better. And yeah, I thank you for your insights on it.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question about that, Anika? Because
Yeah.
do you think, because you guys are much younger than me, do you guys think that you're the younger generation is more open or more aware about mental health than some of the older ones? Like, there's less shame, less stigma.
I guess in for my perspective and what I can say for myself and just my observation, I believe that yeah, younger people have more awareness on mental health, and we're definitely more accepting towards it, like openly talking about it. But of course, I also see like our generation has kind of made it aesthetic, or they've made it such a big trend that sometimes it's also not taken seriously. So there's a back it's a bit backfired, so a little bit. I don't know if people, if Ezev or Keisha or any of our listeners like see that as well, because usually at least when I go on social media, lots of people I think it's hard to explain. I guess sorry, when I meant by like mental health had become an aesthetic, it's like some people kind of slap on like, oh, anxiety and depression on a shirt and call it aesthetic, or those kinds of things. It became a trend, like, oh, it's cool to have a mental issue now, we're all mentally ill together. But it's such a gray area. I don't want to speak too much on the topic that I'm not too knowledgeable in, but that's at least my observation for that part. Like, it has become that, but I want to focus more on like, yes, it's yes, our generation is more aware for sure, and we're definitely more accepting and open to telling other people, hey, you're not alone going through this, and you can talk to me anytime. I think that part, that good part that our generation, or sorry, the younger generation has, is definitely there. Yeah, that's at least my observation. How about Keisha?
I mean, for me naman, it's actually also a gray area because there's generational things, but I still think it goes back to individuals because there are individuals in younger generations that actually still don't believe about mental health, and there are also people in older generations who doesn't, and there are also people in older generations who does. But siguro, what can I say is there is an effect of social media na because in this younger generation, social media is so big. So you can see everything, right? So you can see na how most people talk about mental health. They discuss about it. They share stories about it. So you'd think na people know about it more. People are more accepting because that's what you see on social media. But for me, siguro I base it on my personal experiences and personal interactions with both generations. Like older generations, basically my parents, my titas,
Right.
yeah, them, and also I don't know, like people around those age that I encounter, and it's quite sad, but actually I would say that younger generations are like my generation, the people around me that's my age know more and are accepting about mental health than people my parents age. Na
Interesting.
nakakilala ko, I'm not generalizing and all.
Yeah.
I think mostly Keisha and Anika covered for our generation, but maybe what I would just like to say is that I'm still hoping for the best in my part. that there would come a day that people would understand, would reach out to each other or meet halfway when it comes to mental health. The kids would I don't want to be hard on us, on our generation, but not really romanticize um mental health illness, right? Or take it lightly or accept it as a trend. Right?
Yeah.
We take it more seriously for those who really needs it. So the value or the meaning to it won't go or won't lose its value.
That's
And
true.
for the older generation or other people who might not be open yet, I hope there would come a day that they try to give up, try to reach out or understand or see a different perspective. Na actually in the end, it will go better in both ways. Na
Mhm.
the people who
Yes.
needs mental health would be able to get the help they need, and the
Right.
people who can provide or they are in a good place, they have
Yes.
the capacity to provide it or offer some help in any way possible for those people who need. And I think it would be better for anyone, for the humanity, since we're still
Yeah.
living here on Earth.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's going to become a little easier for people. I mean, people are adjusting, but with the pandemic, there's been a lot of news and discussion and on not just social media, but also news articles about flourishing, languishing, really mental health, dealing with the challenges and the experiences. And I think people are learning more about that. Also, we do have the Philippine Mental Health Act, so that's something which all companies and all government agencies at some point, they're going to be incorporating that into into their practices. So I think both all the generations will eventually start to adjust. I think it'll take time, but we'll get there. I'm an optimistic person.
Yeah, I mean we're on the process.
Tama, tama.
Starting, we're doing small steps in other countries and here in the Philippines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, Ezev. It's a small step, but every small step leads to something better, and I think that's true. Uh,
I agree. It definitely counts, and hopefully there's gonna be more progress in the future. And yeah, I can't wait for that to happen. So, yeah.
well, you're a part of it. You're
Yeah.
a part of it, making that happen. I think each and every one of us listening here, we're all a part of that, din eh?
Oh
Just
yeah.
awareness. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really great to hear our ideas, to talk about mental health, first aid, and caring for others. Can I hear your messages for each other or for our listeners before we end this topic?
I guess I can go first. With what we've learned and like what we've shared with each other, and super great perspective, super great insight. From my perspective, I think my message I about mental health first aid and caring for others. I think it's very important to practice active listening, communicating your needs properly to your friends and family, reaching out to your friends is definitely the first step. And if it's very important to attend to your needs and remember that you deserve proper care and the proper approach to your feelings because you you deserve the best care. Yeah, that's what I can say for
Yeah.
my message.
Yeah, jumping off Anica's message, no, my message naman to the listeners on mental health first aid and also caring for others is to first care for yourself, because if you have a lot, like if you took care of yourself, you could also to take care of others, and that taking care is like Anika said, is about listening for yourself, listening to yourself, like what do you need, um, what do you feel at that moment, and it also goes back to how you can take care of other people, like you know, just be there for them, especially your very first family and friends, because they're in your closer circle. They're most probably be the first people you're gonna take care of. You're gonna help. So just being there for them, listening to them, and uh knowing or understanding what they're sharing or what they're going through is the very first step, I could say, and also one of the biggest act of taking care or act of love that we can give to the people around us.
I have three, if I can say, three messages. First, just like physical first aid, psychological first aid, or mental health first aid, being able to care for someone's mental health, that can be learned. Okay, that can be learned. I know we talked earlier about how it's difficult for parents to deal with kids, to learn how to adjust to them, kids to adjust to parents and all, but I think the fact remains that it's a skill that can be learned. Mental health first aid is something that can be learned. First things first, it can be learned. Second, because it's mental health and you're just like actual first aid, you're stabilizing someone. And when people are stressed or tense or they're frantic, you just gotta stabilize them, calm down. Kalmado lang muna, di ba? Chill ka lang muna. Otherwise, you won't be able to help you. I think that's the second thing to keep in mind, that it really stabilizes people, soothes people down, whether it's your kids, whether it's your co-workers who need help, whether it's a stranger. It's a way of calming people down, and it makes a lifetime of difference. And the third, last takeaway from me is, I think we got to be conscious, like Anica and Keisha said, of practicing these skills and not just in one part of our life. Like, oh, I'll be mental health first aider at home, but at work, taskmaster ako. Huy, do this, do this. And why are you crying? Get out of here. That's stupid. You have to practice that in your entire life. It's something you've got to, it's a lifelong lesson and skill, and you learn it and you apply it all aspects of your life. And yeah, that's for me. Those three.
Thanks, Joel. And maybe for me, my message to the listeners on mental health first aid, that is, it's important with other part of our health, like physical health, financial, emotional, that it's a complete well-being. It's part of our complete well-being. Na, um, I don't want to say that the pandemic is a blessing, but it brought some positive things, that it shone a light in our mental health, that it's real, it's happening, and we need to do something about it. And hopefully from our conversation, our listeners were able to pick a thing or two regarding first aid and mental health, just to reach out, to listen, be there. It makes a difference. You can do these things even though you're not a mental health professional. You're just being human. You're reaching out to another person who needs help.
It's beautiful.
So it's a great thing to start our Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
And I hope our listeners can still listen and look out for our future podcast in the next Sundays. Now, we have a lot of amazing and interesting topics on mental health from our fellow community, or from our fellow volunteers and advocates here at In Touch. So, yeah, have a great Sunday, everyone.
Woohoo!
Have a
Have a
great
great Sunday,
Sunday.
guys, and the rest of